Let's take a look at Pat Metheny's tune Bright Side's Life, the classic Pat Metheny tune. I'm going to show you how to play the melody. We're going to look at how to comp the tune, comping different chords, and soloing, scale choices, but also like different strategies, certain ideas on how to solo over these chords. And we're going to take a look at some of Pat Metheny's phrases, some Pat Metheny licks, if you will, but also some of my own ideas. So hopefully at the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of how to play over this tune. So let's get started. Let's start with the chords. So the first chord is a G major 7. But the thing about this tune, one of the things about this tune is that it's almost like a rock tune or pop tune. And I've watched videos with Pat Metheny, for example, the one where he plays with Ulf Akenius. They play like this, like a AC/DC G chord. It's totally fine. This tune is kind of triadic. There's a lot of triads in here, so it's fine to play a G like this, or even like that. It's a more powerful G major 7. Because we're gonna strum this tune. We're not gonna play jazz. We're gonna play almost like rock here. The thing is though, having said all that, I kind of like the major 7 here. So I might play G major 7 or a AC/DC G, we'll see. Or maybe mix it up. Then B flat over A. You can look at this different ways. I hear this chord as a B flat major 7. That's how it functions to my ears. So this, all that this is, right, is a B flat major 7 in third inversion. So I don't hear it as an A chord, I hear it as a B flat. Now the melody note is E. You can throw in that note too, which gives a little bit, it's a little bit tricky to come up with a good name for that chord. So B flat, triad, add sharp 11 over A, it's a little bit a mouthful, right? So B flat over A. Then we're gonna play just good old campfire D chord. And C in the bass. So it's almost, again, it's like you're playing Led Zeppelin something. B flat major 7. And then G over A. A sus. So when the melody is being played, you might want to leave it open there. The real book says no chord, but that's just for the melody, I think. Even though that chord is kind of implied there. But for soloing, I think you should play that chord. So we have this. Second ending, G over B, or here, and D. So this D chord falls on beat 4. But again, that's just for the melody. I don't think you should do that for the soloing. You could, but I find that that kind of stuff interrupts the flow. But for the melody, you should definitely play on beat 4 there. That's something you might want to talk about. If you're going to play this tune with a combo, you might want to discuss that beforehand. See if are we going to play that shot or not. So I'm kind of strumming. And sometimes arpeggiating the chords like that. Use some dynamics. It's nice to be strumming like this. It's not like when you play jazz, you know. That's one of the things that separates this tune from other jazz tunes. This is not a jazz standard. I wouldn't call this a jazz standard. I would call it a jazz composition. So Pat Metheny talks about that. I'm sure a lot of you have watched his video where he's being interviewed by Rick Beato. He talks about how why not play like this. It's a guitar, right? We play guitar like that.
And also, there's nothing wrong with triads. You know?
Oh, this is a subject that we're going to get to.
Yeah, and I love triads.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I like all the stuff, but you know, I really like just kind of hanging on D.
Yeah.
And why not? Why are
not?
we not doing that?
Right.
You know?
Then B section we have G over A, F over G, A over E, and then D. The real book says D over F sharp, but I don't think that's what Pat Metheny intended. But again, it sounds nice, so you can totally do that there, but I don't think that's what they do. Then you go back to the A section. Now there's a coda, A7. Again, we have a campfire A7 to D. Here, the melody has that C sharp in there, the major 7, but also the D on top, so it's like a minor second. So technically, it is a D major 7, but if I play this, it might clash, so it's still better to play a D when you're comping. Or you might, if you can find a voicing with these notes like that. I want you to look at a video where Pat Metheny is playing with Ulf Akenius and check out how they're comping. Ulf Akenius, for example, is doing this when B flat over A, he's doing this. So I'm playing B flat triad, C triad. So triad pairing, right? You don't want to overdo it, but you can do that. And for the G over A, he's doing like, I think he's even playing the bass note move like that. So we're gonna talk more about that later when we get to the triad pairing, because this tune calls for triad pairing, in my opinion. So now I shall loop myself playing the chords. Okay, now let's play the melody. So right off the bat, it starts with fifths. That's also kind of unusual. Quintal harmony, is that how you say that? Quintal harmony? Those are fifths. It's like power chords, if you will. So here I've noticed he plays this. But none of the real books, there is the real book, there's the Pat Metheny real book, then there's the Pat Metheny songbook. They don't tell you to play that, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. So fourths. Then I play the next phrase on just one string. I like to play it on one string with legato and kind of floating timing. So this is very strict timing. And then it's almost like a response to the first phrase. Then some more floating. And then there's this. So here the real book says some kind of counter motion there. Can't remember. But I don't think Pat Metheny plays that. I've never seen him play that, so I don't know why that's in there, even though it sounds really nice. Oh yeah, it's something like that. So you can totally play that, but I've never heard Pat Metheny play it, so it's kind of funny that it's in the real book, but whatever. And the second ending, again, it's in the real book, there's, I think it's sixths. Sounds great, but I don't see Pat play it. So that's the first part of the tune. You can play throw in the chords under the melody there. Here as well. You have to remember you kind of want to hold that note, but you have to play the melody again. So it's almost like those melodies are overlapping. Then B section, we have this melody. So those kind of notes are very angular sounding. The way I think of it is a chord shape. It's easier to remember if you think of it as a chord shape. So it's like a E minor 13. And it sounds like it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The whole thing is kind of displaced. So you might want to spend some time getting it right. I mean, you don't have to play it like that, but I think that's what he intended, so we should kind of respect that. And then same kind of rhythmic idea, but this time it's not displaced. Oh, sorry, first is this. And then I also think of that as a chord shape, some kind of 13 sharp 9, which suggests half whole scale, which we're gonna get to later on. And here it's not displaced, it's on the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. So with the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Then back to this. And then this melody. I also noticed that a lot of times when people solo this tune, they end their solos with this phrase. That's a good signal that you're finished with your solos and the next soloist can take over. Alright, now let's look at some scale choices. I'm gonna play the chords a little bit slower here. Let's start with the first 4 bars. So I'm thinking G Lydian to B flat Lydian. even though the A note is the bass note, I don't hear that as the root. But that's just how I hear it. You can feel free to disagree with that. But I hear this as a flat 6 major 7. We're in the key of D major, and this chord functions as a flat 6 major 7. Then we have a D, C in the bass, B flat major 7. So D major. Then I guess it would be Mixolydian for this chord. However, the tonality, the feeling of D major is so strong. That's just a kind of a passing bass note, right? So to my ear, the D major scale sounds better, depending on, the situation. But you can play D major, even though that technically the scale should be Mixolydian. So let's listen to it from the. So it would sound like this. So you could play Mixolydian there too. But I think it works playing just D major over the whole thing. And then Lydian again for B flat. And then Mixolydian for this chord, which is A Mixolydian. It's the same thing as D major. For the B section, we have a chord that is outside of the key, the F over G. So we play A Mixolydian for the A sus, and then G Mixolydian. Then we're back to D major, the A. Now I'm gonna be a little bit bold here and suggest half whole. Symmetrical diminished there, because this is the part of the tune where you can create some tension. There are a lot of recordings of this tune where they seem to kind of play some kind of altered stuff there. I'm not saying that Pat Metheny is doing it or that it's his intention, but I mean the melody suggests it, right? So that's a good place to throw in some tension. So we're gonna, just for fun, play the half whole scale there. And then D major for the last chord. Obviously it sounds like this. So an easier way to think about this scale is like going from the A down, descending. It's like a Mixolydian, right? And then a tritone from the A. Dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da. It's easier to hear it like that. And if you go up, it's like a B flat minor. And then E minor. Now here's what I suggest that you do though. The first chord is the 4 chord of the key. So it's easier to think D major. And this chord is borrowed from D minor. So you can think, instead of thinking G Lydian to B flat Lydian, you can think D major to D minor, which they're the same scales, right? G Lydian and D major, same thing. B flat, Lydian, and D minor are the same thing. So it's easier to hear it. Right? Pardon my singing. So that would sound like this. I would suggest that you loop those first 2 chords and just get used to the idea of going from major to minor. You could There's this solo, I think it's the one where he plays with the Fakenius. He starts kind of like... something like that. So you go from D major to D minor. Or D major pentatonic to D minor pentatonic. Think about the notes that are common for both, like the A. And the E. Just a different way of thinking about the chords that I think helps. So there is one recording of him playing this tune from 1977. I think he starts the solo like this. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. There's another solo of his, a live recording. You can find all this on Spotify from 1978. So it's the same kind of thing. Then he plays a rapid pentatonic scale. He does that a lot, and when I was listening to his solos, I thought he was playing arpeggios, and I noticed a lot of it is pentatonic scales, but he's playing them like, it sounds like arpeggios. One lick that I hear him play a lot is kind of this thing, so B or D major pentatonic. But he plays it kind of rapid. So with those pentatonic runs, it kind of, it's easy to sound like a little bit stupid, right? So you have to play them kind of rapid and also try to find different rhythmic phrasing for it. So you don't always start on beat one, you can start on other beats, stuff like that. Also, when you play those fast runs, it's important to have a note to target. So if I'm playing, I'm targeting that last note. So one way you can practice that is doing this. So I can practice like this, right? So if I try that idea with these chords, I could play D major pentatonic to D minor pentatonic, or G minor pentatonic. Works, both of those works, right? The important thing is that I know which note I'm gonna land on, and I'm thinking about that note so that it works over the next chord. Another lick I hear him play a lot is this kind of thing. So it's kind of like those Coltrane, but play like this. And I think he's doing this. So if I play that lick over and try to keep it diatonic in the key of D major, some of those shapes are gonna get funny. So what I think they're doing, or what he's doing, is you're playing the same shape even if it's doesn't fit with the key. You know what I mean? So that note is not in the key, but it doesn't matter because it's just a passing note. So some of those notes are going to be wrong. So it's just a major to a minor shape to a major shape. Sounds very Pat Metheny. Sometimes he'll even play that kind of thing, right? So that's another Pat Metheny lick for you. So here I have a little bit of the actual first couple of bars of his solo from the original recording. It's a good idea to listen to that solo and figure out what he's doing. It's not super hard to transcribe what he's doing there. You hear those triad pairings there, right? I think that's what he's playing. One more thing before I leave you. I'm gonna show you some triad pairings. The B section is perfect for triad pairing. Over the G over A, you can play A triad and a G triad. Like that. And then you could do this, right? But it's cooler to start on the same note, so I'll play the F and the G triad starting on A. So I have this. And then from the symmetrical diminished, I can pick A, E flat. You could also do this, you could go chromatically down. And then here, like that. And then go chromatically up. That's a great lick for you. Kind of John Scofield-ish. So let me try that again. Obviously, there are many things you could do with those triad pairings. Some of you might remember, if you've been following my channel, that I covered this book, the Sid Jacobs book, Modern Jazz Concepts, where he talks about triad pairing as chords. By the way, all of this stuff is on my Patreon page. Super thank you to my Patreons. Without you, I wouldn't keep making these videos. It really helps, and I hope you can see that the quality, hopefully, of the videos are improving slightly. It takes time. I'm learning as we go, but again, thank you. And the PDFs is on the Patreon page. So in this Sid Jacobs book, he talks about triad pairing as chords. So if I play this, that's a G over A. That means I'm having the triad here and the note from the other triad, the A triad, in the bass. So then I do the opposite. I play the A triad and I find the bass note from the other triad in the bass, which happens to be the same shape in this case. Then here, G triad over C sharp, then A triad over D, then this, and this. So I have this. If I do that with this A and E flat triad, I can do this. E flat triad over A over E flat, the note from E flat triad. And E flat over C sharp, which is the third of A, then A over E flat. And then E flat over E. And then this. Cool sound, huh? So that was a lot of stuff. I hope you got some ideas for soloing over Bright Size Life. And thanks for watching and your time and attention, and I shall see you next time.